Bitcoin just ripped to 123K, but here's the crazy part. Top metrics and charts are still sitting in the mid-cycle zone, nowhere near overheated. Corporate treasuries continue piling in, but here's the kicker. Some of the biggest players in the game haven't even started buying yet. Michael Saylor says Bitcoin winter isn't coming back. Saifedean Ammous says we're barely scratching a 300 trillion addressable market. Stick around, because today I make the case for why this could be the start of the generational Bitcoin price run. Bitcoin has finally broken out of the latest consolidation around 100K with authority, as it touched a new all-time high of $123,000 per coin early Monday morning. Massive shorts were liquidated to bring us above 120K, and now massive longs have also been liquidated to bring us back into the air pocket we leaped over between 113 and 117K. We've completed the healthy leverage flush, and now we're in the reset phase, where we can expect to consolidate in this range before we get ready to ascend once more. There's no question what's driving the latest gap up in price: the acceleration and proliferation of Bitcoin treasury companies utilizing the leveraged Bitcoin equity strategy that Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy pioneered. Latest entrant Swan, a French semiconductor company trading under the symbol SQNS, has started the week with a bang, adding another 683 Bitcoin to their corporate treasury. They now hold a total of 1,053 coins, moving them up the exclusive 1,000 Bitcoin club, coming in at number 31 in the ranking of public companies in their Bitcoin holdings. If you missed the announcement, Swan is acting as strategic partner and back-end operator for Swan's LBE strategy. So keep an eye on SQNS trading on the New York Stock Exchange, as they aim at cracking the top 20 in this list in short order. But Swan's is just the latest in this burgeoning trend of corporate Bitcoin adoption that has become the primary driver of this bull market cycle, along with relentlessly strong ETF inflows over the last several weeks. This continued stair-step pattern up and to the right has many, including Michael Saylor, calling for no foreseeable return of the Bitcoin bear market. Saylor was on Bloomberg recently, and he was asked when we can expect another drawdown.
How do you expect the asset to continue a price increase at these levels that we've seen? I mean, can it keep that up over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years? And at what point do we see, winter coming again? Because that's been a permanent fixture of this asset class, right? It's gone from 0 or 1,000 to 20, and then back down to 3 or 4, and then up to 50, and then back down to 15, and now up to 110. Like, when does it drop again?
Winter's not coming back. We're past that. We're past that phase. If Bitcoin's not going to 0, it's going to $1 million. And you have all the evidence you need to determine that, right? The President of the United States has determined he supports Bitcoin. The cabinet supports Bitcoin. Scott Bessent supports Bitcoin. Paul Atkins has shown himself to be an enthusiastic believer of Bitcoin and digital assets. Quintez at CFTC feels the same way. The banks are going to custody Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gotten through its riskiest period. The accounting has been corrected. There's now only 450 Bitcoin a day available for sale by natural sellers. That's the miners. At this level, that works out to about $50 million of Bitcoin available for sale every day. If that $50 million is bought, then the price has got to move up to find any seller that's price sensitive. Now, if you do the math, you'll actually see the Bitcoin treasury companies by themselves are buying the entire natural supply.
Yeah. BlackRock
and the ETFs are buying another measure of that. And we've got nation-state actors coming into the space. So I think when Bitcoin rallies, if it surges to 500,000 or $1 million, then maybe we could talk about it crashing down by $200,000 a coin. But at the current price levels, it only takes $50 million to turn the entire drive shaft of the crypto economy one turn. And you've got the Trump media organization announcing $2.5 billion. You've got GameStop announcing $500 million. You've got my company that's raising billions and billions of dollars. So the writing is on the wall. Bitcoin's moving higher.
So according to Saylor, winter is not coming back. At the current pace of price increase and the level of buying that is occurring on a weekly basis, the bear market does look to be nowhere in sight. The latest price move even has degens like Dave Portnoy taking notice. The president of Barstool Sports, who's been outspoken about his gains and losses in the crypto space for years, mentioned his frustration at not buying more Bitcoin.
Listen. Sometimes we do these stock shows
And I literally sent my stock guy, my finance guy. It's like, we talk every day about stocks. We should just shut up and bought Bitcoin. Just shut up and bought Bitcoin, forget everything else and bank. I mean, it is rip-roaring ripping.
Every time Dave talks about Bitcoin, it becomes more clear how little he understands it. He compares the outsized returns of Bitcoin so far in 2025 to his stock picks in disbelief. But it's not just in 2025, Dave. The entire S&P 500 is down nearly 100% since 2012 when priced in Bitcoin. Even more striking, since the network's third halving event on May 11th, 2020, Bitcoin is up a whopping 1,125%. In comparison, the Nasdaq is up only 151%, the S&P only 119%, and gold only 93%. Bitcoin is absolutely destroying the fiat debasement performance Olympics. And it's not even close. So it makes sense why people like Dave Portnoy are in disbelief. I really like what Saifedean Ammous had to say on X following Bitcoin's latest rally. He wrote, "No, you did not miss the Bitcoin train. We're just getting started. Just because Bitcoin went up a lot does not mean it cannot go up a lot more. On the contrary, the more it goes up, the more it demonstrates product market fit, the more likely it is to go up. Bitcoin is different from stocks, bonds, and commodities because it has a much, much larger addressable market." He then goes on to compare it to something like Apple stock, whose growth is capped according to how many iPhones they can sell. In comparison, Safe points out that Bitcoin, as money, has a total addressable market of upwards of $200 to $300 trillion, which is orders of magnitude higher than it is today. This great chart from Jesse Myers shows the tiny piece of the global capital pie that's being held in Bitcoin currently, and how much growth potential it still has. I really like the way Safe ends this take, so I'm going to read it in full because I think this is the key to why people like Dave Portnoy and countless others are in disbelief with Bitcoin. He says, "Bitcoin has no cash flow to price it. Most no-coiners think this makes it a Ponzi, but that is only because they have never experienced real money and only have as a frame of reference the hot potato trash fiat money, which everyone smartly tries to exchange for hard assets as soon as they can. They are incapable of understanding people demanding to hold money for its own sake, for its ability to hold value, and not for cash flow. This is how gold became the money of the world without generating any cash flow. And this is why Bitcoin, which is infinitely better money than gold, is going to continue to monetize and grow. So if you're a high net worth investor looking to allocate to the fastest horse in the race, there's no better place to start than Swan Private. Swan Private helps with large Bitcoin acquisitions, secure cold storage solutions, estate planning, and trust structures. Everything you need to build and preserve wealth across generations. Go to swan.com/private to book a call with a member of the team today. Now let's talk about what I'm sure many are wondering after the most recent run up to 123K. Just how much gas is left in the tank on this Bitcoin bull run? There can't be much more room to run, can there? Well, I'm here to tell you that there most definitely is more room to run. So let's talk about why. First off, the MVRV-Z score is showing that if this Bitcoin bull market peak reaches the same MVRV multiple as the previous cycle, then we'll see $196,000 per coin. The MVRV-Z score measures how far Bitcoin's price sits above or below its realized value, which is essentially what holders actually paid for their coins. When the score is below 0, that's deep bear market territory. When it climbs above 7, that's where euphoria and cycle tops usually form. Right now, we're sitting in the 2 to 3 range, and historically this is the healthy mid-cycle zone. Strong momentum, but nowhere near overheated. In past cycles, this range has been the launch pad for major upside before the market even approaches the top. So while it's not a perfect metric since it weighs heavily on past cycle performance, it's still a very bullish indicator that shows we may still have a lot of room to run. Also keep in mind this data point is updating and rising every single day. So in a few weeks, if we continue to consolidate in this area, we could see the target surpass 200K per coin. Next up, we have this chart, which shows Bitcoin still in the lowest portion of this 9-year-old channel. The lower channel would suggest a price target of $228,000 at the end of 2025. And also take note that no bull market has ever ended without Bitcoin breaking up into a higher channel. So according to this, upwards of 300K is possible too. Now, it's important to take these metrics and lines on a chart with a grain of salt, as they only take into account past performance, and they don't account for the current market sentiment and vibes. But when you add in the current market sentiment and vibes, we just get even more bullish, especially when you consider that growing corporate Bitcoin acquisition strategies are just getting started. Swan CEO Corey Clipson was on Supply Shock with Pete Rizzo last week, and he talked about how many companies haven't even started buying yet.
As far as Sequans, I think what's really attractive there is that it actually trades on New York Stock Exchange. And so when you think about time to market and you think about my own expectations for what will happen with Bitcoin price through the rest of the year, we're recording this on July 7th. Bitcoin purchases start tomorrow. Tuesday, July 8th. We didn't have to wait. So we were able to raise money into an existing company that's listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We don't have to wait for a merger. We don't have to wait for a de-SPAC. So all these companies that started in Q2, whether it's the Tether SPAC or Nakamoto or whatever, they can't buy Bitcoin yet because they have to wait for their audits, they have to wait for their mergers, they have to wait for their de-SPACs, they have to wait for everything to go through. And so they're kind of on pause. And so we actually got out to market first among this kind of like next crop of largish companies that have not really just like expectations to scale and do this at an institutional level. Like I have no interest in doing this little retail pump and dump stock play whatsoever. As you can imagine, this is only interesting if we get into the tens of billions and are sucking the life out of the fiat system. And so being able to move fast is huge.
Corey points out that massive players in the LBE game, like 21 Capital, who's backed by giants Tether, Cantor Fitzgerald, and SoftBank, and Nakamoto, David Bailey's ambitious Bitcoin acquisition vehicle, haven't even hit the buy button yet. Corey reiterated this point that we're still early in this LBE strategy cycle with Tim Kotzman on his Bitcoin Treasuries digital conference last week.
And when you asked me about, where are we in this cycle or in this trend, like it hasn't even begun because almost none of these companies have actually made any purchases yet. Some of these stocks have gone up a lot, but the volumes on those are super small. And so they're not having an impact yet. They're not at scale.
So you couple Saylor saying with the current buying, there's no bear market in sight, with the fact that many of the largest and most ambitious LBE strategy companies haven't even entered the game yet. And this is looking like the start of what could be the generational Bitcoin price run. We are getting closer and closer to exhausting all sellers at the $100,000 level. Once sellers are completely exhausted and corporate Bitcoin buying continues to accelerate, we could be on the cusp of the suddenly phase of the gradually then suddenly thesis coined by Parker Lewis, where we see sudden and face-melting moves up in very short order. And keep in mind, on top of all of this, the Fed still hasn't even lowered interest rates yet. Things are heating up like crazy, and there's nowhere else on the planet I would want my capital parked than in Bitcoin right now. So secure your keys, hold on tight, and enjoy the ride. And finally, a quick shout out to Mara, the world's largest publicly traded Bitcoin miner, for supporting this show and for helping make Bitcoin the world's most decentralized and secure monetary network. That's it for today, but I'd love to hear what you think. Are we on the cusp of the suddenly phase? Do you think this is the beginning of the biggest run in Bitcoin's history? Let us know your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. Like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel for more high signal every single day. Thanks for watching, and remember, TikTok next block.